Learning how to surf really reminded me of learning Jiu Jitsu. I have been doing BJJ for a couple of years now and I recently started to get into surfing. In October I went to the Jogs and Barrels BJJ and surf camp in Spain and it really opened my eyes on how to approach learning new skills. When learning a new skill, I really like to get a feel for what I'm supposed to be doing first. I like to observe and feel the energy of the environment, the activity and the people around me. This approach helps me to get into the right mindset. I want to be receptive to new things and new perspectives. This goes for Jiu Jitsu and everything else. On the first day of the camp, I set my focus on getting to know the people and feel the vibe. Usually I'm always a little nervous when I train with people that I don't know yet. But what I really love about going to BJJ camps is the energy people bring. Everybody is here to have a great time, learn new skills and create new connections with people. Especially in the beginning when I don't know my partners, I want to be respectful in the way I approach rolling and training with them. So choosing the right intensity with your training partner is super important in my opinion. I use the first rolls to get a feel for people's intentions and react accordingly. In my experience, most of the people in camps like this are super friendly and everyone gets along great. We don't try to injure each other and keep it fun and playful. That's my favorite way to improve my skill in any discipline. I try to think in the long term without putting pressure on myself and just have fun with it. Sometimes it is hard to be okay with being shit at something, but I always remind myself failure is a major part of the learning process and I expect myself to mess up when I try to learn something new. That's the mindset I came with to this camp. Before coming here, I just had a handful of surfing classes on my trip to Brazil. So I knew I'm not going to be good at surfing and probably gonna have salt water in my airways more times than I would be able to stand up, and it's fine for me. The guys who organized this camp did an amazing job of creating an environment that makes it easy to make new friends. The house we stayed at is really dope, the mat space for training is fairly big and the beach is close by. Having your own rental car here is beneficial but not required. We always made it work that everybody arrived at the beach on time and the surf house provided us with wetsuits and surfboards we just strapped onto the roofs of the cars. So the first day was basically there to get to know the property and each other. There was no serving on arrival day, but we had a fun session at the open mat and in the evening we had a great dinner together. Our first serving session was planned in the next morning. At sunrise it was time to go to the surfing school. The beach in Somo is amazing and at this time of the year there's basically nobody around. And after a brief instruction we got into the water and tried to catch our first waves. I honestly underestimated how tough it is to paddle through the waves. After round 4 or 5 my arms were cooked. And the worst part about it is, you can take a break in the middle of paddling. If you do, the waves will drag you to shore immediately and you have to start from the beginning again. So even if your arms are telling you to stop, you gotta push through and keep going until you swam all the way. In Jiu Jitsu it took me a long time to understand that you can't go hard all the time, but you also can't completely shut down. You have to know when to move and when to stay calm. Coaches tell you this early on, but hearing it and actually feeling it are two different things. That balance between pushing and relaxing is still one of the hardest parts of BJJ for me. The entire area of Somo is full of surf shops, schools and restaurants. After surfing I usually got an acai bowl and a smoothie to break the fast. I really enjoy the atmosphere in the town and the whole vibe is really contagious. After receiving our t-shirts and rash guards, we started with our first official BJJ class. There are beginner classes and classes for all levels each afternoon, changing between gi and no gi classes. In this class we mainly worked on takedowns and then pressure pass into mount. Since I'm not the fastest guy out there, I really like this style of passing. I try to build my top game on slow pressure and making my partners tired. I don't want to solely rely on athleticism. I want to build a game that allows me to keep training at an older age as well. So I'm already taking things like this into consideration when training.
Bring my chest out to let this knee come through. And now I'm gonna close back the space of his leg here. This leg and pinch to here. Now, all the way around Valito's leg until I feel that his hip is starting to face this way now. I'm gonna torque him back. Shoulder, this hand that was originally on his back is gonna kind of just be open here for base, okay? I'm gonna step this leg, top himself up to the mat.
Even though I prefer BJJ in the gi and I mainly train in the gi, I also really enjoyed the no-gi classes. I want to be complete in my grappling, so switching between both keeps things balanced for me. After each class we rode, which I was always looking forward to because I get to play my game against people who I never trained with before. Sometimes at sunset in the evening, we decided to go for a second round of surfing. And I don't know if water got on the camera lens or something, but I swear the waves we were riding were at least 15 feet tall. By the end of the week I noticed something. It wasn't one session or one surf or one roll that made the difference, it was doing the same things every day. Surfing, Jiu Jitsu, both don't really reward shortcuts. You don't improve because you had one good day, you improve because you keep showing up. Some days the waves are good, some days they aren't. Same on the mat, but being out there every day changes how you react. You stop overthinking, you stop forcing things. In Jiu Jitsu, consistency teaches you patience. You learn to stay calm when things don't work. You learn to wait for the right moment. Surfing felt exactly the same. The more time you spend in the water, the more natural everything feels. Spending that week in a fixed routine made me think about how important routines are when you're trying to learn anything. Not in a strict or obsessive way, but as something that gives you space to actually focus. When you don't have to constantly decide when to train, when to surf or what comes next, your energy goes into the thing you're trying to learn instead of into planning. That felt true both in Jiu Jitsu and surfing. Progress didn't come from one hard session or one good wave, it came from showing up again the next day and doing the same thing with a little more awareness. Looking back, the camp itself played a big role into that. Jogs and barrel didn't feel rushed or overly structured, but everything had its place. Training, surfing, rest and time with people all balanced each other out. There was no pressure to perform and no sense of having to prove anything, which made it easy to stay present and actually enjoy the process. It felt less like an event and more like a shared rhythm for a week, and that's what made the experience stick with me. What stayed with me most was how easy it was to train together. People from different places, different levels, but the mat never felt tense. You could roll, reset, laugh and go again. No one was counting rounds or keeping score. That kind of atmosphere makes training feel lighter. I left the camp wanting to keep surfing, keep training and to stay curious about being a beginner again. For me personally, that's a great reason to keep coming back to camps like this, and I might even go back to this exact camp. The training was great, the surf lessons were fun and the community overall was amazing. I recommend this camp without any hesitation.